All right, welcome back to the deep dive. Today we're tackling a question I think we've all thought about at some point: how to become more intelligent.
Very interesting.
You guys sent in a Wikihow article.
Oh, Wikihow.
Yeah, a Wikihow article on the topic. And
Okay.
Wikihow, they're not exactly known for their scholarly rigor, but
Right.
we thought we could maybe mine it for some actionable insights and connect those to, the real science behind boosting brain power.
I like that. It's like separating the wheat from the chaff.
Exactly.
Yeah. We'll look at what really works and what's backed by research, and most importantly, what you can actually use.
Yeah. What can you actually apply?
Yeah, in your own life.
So let's jump right in.
Okay.
The article starts by kind of debunking this common myth that intelligence is fixed, from birth.
Right.
Like you're stuck with a certain IQ forever.
Yeah.
But thankfully, that's just not true.
No, it's not.
That's good news, right?
Yeah. So there's this amazing concept called neuroplasticity.
Oh, I love that word.
Yeah. It essentially means your brain is constantly changing and adapting. So think of it like a muscle
Okay.
that gets stronger
The more you use it.
the more you use it.
Right.
Yeah, the encouraging thing here is that you're not limited by like some predetermined intelligence level.
Oh, God.
You can actually shape and improve your cognitive abilities really
That's
throughout
right.
your whole life.
I love that. That's such a powerful idea.
Yeah.
So we know our brains can grow and evolve, but how do we actually make that happen? Well, the article highlights the importance of passion
Okay.
as a driving force behind learning.
Makes sense.
They use Einstein as an example,
Force.
He wasn't a genius at everything, but he was intensely passionate about physics, and that focus led him to these, groundbreaking discoveries.
Yeah.
So I want you to think about this for a second. What are you truly passionate about?
Yeah.
What truly excites you?
What gets you up in the morning?
Yeah. Because that passion can be the fuel that, propels you toward deeper, more meaningful learning.
Absolutely. It's like finding your intellectual sweet spot instead of trying to be,
A jack of all trades.
jack of all trades. Focus on developing true expertise in those areas that genuinely fascinate you.
Right.
I mean, when you're driven by passion, learning transforms from a chore into this exciting quest for knowledge.
It makes sense, right? You're naturally going to be more motivated and engaged when you're learning about something you really care about.
Absolutely.
Okay, speaking of engagement, the article also emphasizes the importance of challenging yourself intellectually.
Right. And there's a smart way to approach this.
Yeah.
It's not about pushing yourself to the point of frustration or burnout. It's about finding that sweet spot where you're stretching your cognitive abilities without overwhelming yourself.
I totally relate to that. I remember when I tried learning, well, let's just say it was a new skill, something that took me way out of my comfort zone. It was definitely challenging at times, but that feeling of accomplishment when I finally mastered it was incredible.
Yeah. Yes, that sense of accomplishment is key.
Yeah.
It reinforces the idea that your brain is capable of growth, which motivates you to take on even bigger challenges.
Yeah, you're like, I did it, I can do more.
Exactly. And that leads us to another important point from the article, which is understanding your own learning style.
Oh, okay.
It's this concept called metacognition, which sounds complicated,
It does.
but it's really just about knowing how you learn best.
Oh.
Yeah. So instead of blindly applying the same study methods for every subject,
Right.
you figure out what works best for you. It's like finding your own personal learning hack.
I love that. That's great.
Yeah, some people are visual learners. They thrive with diagrams and images. Others are auditory learners. They prefer lectures or podcasts.
Oh, like this one.
Like this one, exactly.
Yeah.
And some people learn best by doing, through hands-on experience.
Yeah.
So recognizing your dominant learning style can make the whole learning process much more efficient and enjoyable.
I love that it's like personalizing your education to really maximize your brain power.
Exactly.
Now, let's shift gears a bit
Okay.
and talk about something that might surprise you. The connection between your body and your brain.
Yeah, it's fascinating.
The article makes this point that taking care of your physical health is crucial for cognitive function.
Absolutely.
Yeah, it's easy to forget that our brains are part of our bodies, and they rely on the same basic building blocks for optimal performance.
Right.
It's like you can't expect a high-performance race car to run on low-grade fuel, right?
Exactly.
Our brains need the right kind of fuel, too. A healthy diet packed with nutrients that support brain function.
Absolutely.
And let's not forget about sleep.
Oh, it's so important.
It's not just about feeling rested. It's about giving your brain the downtime it needs to process information, to consolidate memories.
Absolutely. When you sleep, Your brain is busy doing all sorts of important work behind the scenes, consolidating memories, clearing out toxins, preparing for the next day. It's essentially like hitting the reset button for your brain.
I like that.
And then there's exercise.
Yes.
Which has been shown to increase blood flow to the brain and even stimulate the growth of new brain cells.
That's amazing.
Yeah. So it's not just about looking good. It's about feeling good and thinking clearly.
Right.
Taking care of your body is really a crucial part of maximizing your intellectual potential.
I love that. Yeah, it's all connected.
It is.
All right, so we've talked about how our brains are not fixed.
Right.
We've talked about the role of passion.
Yes.
We've talked about challenging yourself, but not to the point of burnout.
Right. Finding that sweet spot.
Finding that sweet spot and understanding how you learn best.
Yeah. What works for you.
And then we ended on this idea that to really boost your brain power, you have to take care of your body as well.
Absolutely. It's all connected.
So we're going to take a quick break.
Okay.
And when we come back, we're going to dive into some more specific strategies from this Wikihow article for becoming more intelligent.
Sounds good.
So don't go anywhere. We'll be right back after this.
All right. Welcome back to our deep dive into intelligence.
Yeah, before the break, we were talking about that surprising connection between physical health and cognitive function.
Yeah, it's easy to compartmentalize those things,
Totally.
but they're really deeply intertwined.
Yeah.
You can't have a sharp mind without a healthy body.
I like that.
So let's delve into some other fascinating ways to enhance those cognitive abilities.
Okay.
The Wikihow article suggests learning a new language
Okay.
or picking up a musical instrument.
Okay, I have to admit, I've heard this advice before.
Yeah.
But it always feels a little daunting. Like, where do I even find the time to learn a whole new language?
It's all about perspective, you know?
Yeah.
Instead of viewing it as like a chore, think of it as a rewarding challenge.
Yeah.
A way to expand your mental horizons.
Okay.
Studies have shown that learning a new language can improve memory, enhance problem-solving skills, and even delay cognitive decline as we age.
Wow, those are some impressive benefits.
Yeah.
So it's not just about, like, being able to order a croissant in Paris.
Right.
It's about giving your brain a serious workout.
Exactly. And the same goes for learning a musical instrument.
Okay.
It requires coordination, focus, and the ability to process these complex patterns.
Wow.
All of these skills translate to other areas of your life, boosting your cognitive flexibility and overall intelligence.
So it's like cross-training for your brain.
Precisely.
You're strengthening different cognitive muscles that can then be applied to, like, all these different challenges.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Now, the article also raises this kind of cautionary point
Okay.
about our increasing reliance on technology.
Yeah, a little ironic,
It is a bit ironic.
considering we're having this conversation on a podcast.
Exactly.
But yeah, it's something to think about.
Yeah, it's something to consider. Like, technology can be an incredible tool for learning and accessing information, but there's a potential downside.
Right. The article uses the example of GPS, like potentially weakening our sense of direction.
Yeah.
We rely so heavily on these, like, technological crutches that we might be neglecting some of our own cognitive abilities.
Right. The key is balance, I think.
Yeah.
Technology can be a powerful ally, but we need to use it wisely and make sure it's not replacing essential cognitive skills.
Right.
You know, our brains thrive on challenges. Don't let technology do all the thinking for you.
It's a good reminder to, like, step away from the screens every now and then
Absolutely.
and engage in activities that require active thinking and problem solving.
Exactly.
Now, speaking of problem solving, the article actually delves into some tactical approaches to appearing more intelligent, which I thought was interesting.
Yeah, and it's important to kind of approach this topic with a grain of salt.
Right.
True intelligence runs far deeper than surface-level impressions. But
Of course.
there's no denying that communication skills and the way we present ourselves can influence how others perceive us.
Okay, so, like, spill the tea. What are some of these tactical tips for appearing more intelligent?
Well, one suggestion is to expand your vocabulary.
Okay.
Now, this isn't about using big words just to sound smart.
Right.
It's about having a nuanced understanding of language and being able to express yourself clearly and effectively.
The article actually recommends using a word-a-day app or flashcards. It's like giving your brain a vocabulary workout.
Exactly. And it goes beyond just individual words, you know. Pay attention to grammar, sentence structure, overall clarity in your communication.
Yeah.
Those details can make a big difference in how you come across intellectually.
So it's not just what you say, but how you say it.
Exactly.
Now, here's a tip I found both amusing and intriguing. The article suggests cultivating an air of modesty and being a bit more reticent in conversations.
You know, there's certain wisdom in that approach.
Yeah.
constantly trying to prove how smart you are can actually backfire.
Right.
People might perceive it as arrogance or insecurity, but when you're more reserved and let your actions speak for themselves, it can create a more genuine impression of intelligence.
It's like that saying, still waters run deep.
Exactly.
You don't have to be the loudest voice in the room to be the smartest.
Exactly. And that brings us to another interesting point, which is the importance of first impressions.
Okay.
While we shouldn't judge a book by its cover,
Right.
there's no denying that appearances matter.
So we're talking about like dressing neatly,
Yes.
maintaining good hygiene,
Absolutely.
and just presenting yourself in a way that conveys like confidence and competence.
Precisely. Those details, while seemingly superficial, can contribute to a positive first impression, which can then open doors for you to showcase your true intelligence.
I like that.
The article even mentions a rather quirky tip, using your middle initial.
Wait, seriously, does that actually make a difference?
Surprisingly, some research suggests it does.
Wow.
People tend to associate the use of a middle initial with higher intelligence and credibility. It's a subtle cue that can subtly influence perceptions.
Okay, that's fascinating. I might need to start using my middle initial more often.
Right.
But let's be clear, we're not suggesting that these like superficial tactics are a substitute for genuine intellectual depth.
No, of course not.
It's more about recognizing that these cues can play a role in how we're perceived in the world.
Exactly. They're like bonus points, not the core foundation.
Right. Got it. We're back for the final part of our deep dive into intelligence, and we've covered a lot of ground.
We have.
From like the science of neuroplasticity to some surprisingly tactical tips on how to present yourself as intelligent. But I think it's all about kind of building towards this deeper understanding of what it really means to be intelligent.
And it's not just about accumulating knowledge.
Right.
It's about developing this curious and agile mind, that's able to adapt to new information, challenge assumptions, make connections that others might miss.
So it's less about having all the answers and more about having like the right questions and the willingness to constantly explore and learn.
Precisely. Now, the Wikihow article touches on another important aspect.
Okay.
It's this willingness to embrace the unknown.
It might sound kind of counterintuitive.
It does.
But true intellectual growth, like, often involves stepping outside of your comfort zone.
Right.
And acknowledging that you don't have all the answers.
It's like venturing into uncharted territory.
Yeah.
It can be a little intimidating.
Yeah.
But also incredibly exciting. There's so much potential for discovery and growth when you're willing to step outside of what you already know.
It's true, yeah. And it's important to remember that making mistakes is part of the learning process.
Absolutely.
Don't be afraid to ask questions, even if they seem like silly. True intelligence isn't about being right all the time.
Right.
It's about having the humility to admit when you don't know something and the willingness to learn from others.
Exactly. It's about embracing that growth mindset that we talked about earlier, seeing challenges as opportunities for learning rather than threats to your ego.
I love that, and it ties back to that idea of being a lifelong learner.
Absolutely.
Intelligence isn't a destination.
It's a journey.
It's a continuous journey of exploration and discovery.
It is.
And that journey can take you to some pretty amazing places, both intellectually and personally.
It really can.
Speaking of journeys, we've covered quite a bit of ground in this deep dive.
We have.
From understanding how our brains work to exploring these strategies for enhancing our cognitive abilities, we've really dug into what it means to unlock our intellectual potential.
And it's important to remember that intelligence isn't this like one-size-fits-all concept.
Right.
There are so many different types of intelligence, from linguistic and logical mathematical to musical, spatial, interpersonal.
So it's not about comparing yourself to others or striving for some like arbitrary standard of intelligence. It's about recognizing and cultivating your own unique strengths and abilities.
Exactly. And perhaps most importantly, it's about using your intelligence to make a positive impact on the world.
Yeah.
Whether it's through your work, your relationships, your contributions to your community, true intelligence really shines when it's used to make a difference.
I love that. So as we're wrapping up this deep dive, I want to leave you with this final thought.
Okay.
What's one area you've always wanted to explore, but maybe felt a little intimidated by?
Yeah, what's one thing you've been putting off learning because you thought it was too difficult or too time-consuming?
What if you challenge yourself to take just like a small step today?
A small step.
Maybe it's reading an article, watching a documentary, signing up for an online course, whatever it is. Embrace that spark of curiosity and see where it leads you.
You never know. It could be the beginning of an amazing intellectual adventure.
That's what we hope this duck dive has inspired you to do, to embrace the journey of lifelong learning, keep your mind sharp and engaged, and never stop exploring that vast world of knowledge.
Well said.
That's it for today. We hope you found it insightful and inspiring.
Until next time.
Until next time, keep diving deep and keep those intellectual muscles flexing.
Take care.